these recorded webinars on my website, and one of them, nothing happened for like 8 minutes because I didn't stop it and then start it. So I have done that now. So that is fantastic. Again, welcome everybody to the webinar tonight on this beautiful Monday night, late August. You're taking an hour, hopefully just an hour out of your day to listen to some information on real estate, specifically accessing equity in property without qualifying for financing. And a lot of you probably got my email earlier today where I have a fire in my neighborhood. So it's under control now, thankfully. We have amazing firefighters, and not worried about it, but I thought it was best to just, we'll stick to the evenings today and tomorrow just in case, because the winds can change. That's life. Happens in real estate too, by the way. All right. Fabulous topic. I'm just going to start about me again, although I think all of you have already heard this, but hey, who doesn't like a good story? So let's get right into it. I started investing in real estate in 2001, transacted 300 deals and over $80 million in real estate. When the recession hit in 2008, like a lot of people, we got hit very, very hard. We actually ended up losing almost everything. And it sounds awful, but it was a gift. It really, really was. In fact, I find the recession my biggest advantage when it comes to real estate investment, because what it did is it taught me how to not only survive in challenging times, but to thrive in virtually any kind of economic environment when it comes to real estate, because there's so many ways. So hence the Street Smart Diva. That's how the Street Smart Diva brand came to be. It was actually my husband, Jeff's idea. We're going to be talking to Jeff a little bit later on in the webinar. He has actually taken my 5 children, to Alberta. I live in British Columbia, beautiful British Columbia in the Okanagan Valley. Anyway, he drove 10 hours with 5 kids. They've been playing on the lake. I've got 2 kids that learned how to water ski for the first time. They're having so much fun. But today, he has taken them to West Edmonton Mall Water Park. So I'm telling you, folks, this is a very brave man. And he's already sent me some pictures. I didn't have time to put them on here, but they're really great, and they're having a great time. And I think he's probably just going to be calling either from the road or from West Ed. So we'll just see as things go along. So yes, that's my background. A lot of you have heard it. Now, I want to emphasize that we struggled and we went through all this hardship, but I have since created another multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio since the down times, since the dark times. I've done it all without any of my own money, and I haven't qualified for a single loan. And my real estate portfolio cash flows great. It's not huge. I only have about 6 properties right now. It is growing. I'm in the process of growing it, but it cash flows thousands of dollars per month. And you know what? I'd rather have 6 properties and lots of cash flow than 60 properties and sucking bricks, as my father-in-law would say. And so and we're going to be talking about that in a little bit as well. And I want you to know also that I grew up like a lot of people. I had a nice family. I listened to my parents. Actually, I was kind of a sneaky kid, but that's a whole other webinar. Anyway, I did well in school so that I could get into university, so I could get into graduate school, so I could get a good job. In fact, I have 2 university degrees. One of them is in exercise science, and the other is actually a doctorate in physical therapy. So after I got my doctorate, I married a really great guy right out of graduate school, got a job, and started living the dream of having a job. Isn't that everybody's dream when they're growing up? Have a job, be a teacher, be a firefighter, be a policeman. That's mostly everybody's dream. Now in 2001, when I was about 6 months pregnant with our first, so this was in 1999, when I became Dr. Julie, working as a physical therapist. Again, 2001, so about 2 years later, when I was about 6 months pregnant with our first child, my handsome husband, Jeff, came home one night and he said, "Honey, I've got a great idea." And I know I'm not the only lady on this call who has had that happen to her, and maybe some of you gentlemen too, where your significant other has come home and said, "Hey, let's do this." My husband had attended a real estate seminar. about real estate investment, of course, and he was absolutely on fire. He read that 95% of all millionaires had done so through real estate, and he could not wait. So I helped him. In fact, I did most of the work because I had more time to do it. I could make phone calls on my lunch break about properties. I could go see them on the evenings and weekends, and I could look at them in the classifieds in the newspaper. Who remembers, making phone calls out of the classifieds in the newspaper? I know I'm not the only one. And we ended up buying these 3 properties. The top one is in Sherwood Park. The bottom one on the right is in Mill Woods in Edmonton. Sherwood Park is a suburb of Edmonton, Alberta. And the one on the left is actually at 11121 123rd Street. So that's in the, I can't remember the neighborhood. Great neighborhood though, older neighborhood. Mid-century property. It's another way of saying it was built in the 1950s. No, not Old Strathcona, Carolyn, but that's a really good guess. Ooh, let's have a contest. Who can find out, who knows where 111th Avenue and 123rd Street is? That was a very good guess, Carolyn. And thanks for your participation. All right, so I have 3 properties, and that was just all well and good, but I was going back to work. I was going back to work because I had gone to school for like ever. The equivalent of 10 years, basically. I'd gone to university. And this whole real estate thing was interesting. I was clearly very good at it because I bought 3 properties, but I was a physical therapist. That was my identity. I mean, after all, what on earth would my parents think? I mean, I'd already put them through enough. Remember I talked about how I was a sneaky kid. And I've got comedian Doug Engel on the chat. That's funny. You're funny. So what ended up happening is we've got these 2 properties. I'm ready to go back to work, and this little stinker, Cassie, gets born, and I fall madly in love with her, just like every mother does, just like every parent does. And I decided I wanted to spend as much time with her as I possibly could, and that was that. And I knew absolutely that real estate can help me do that. So these 3 properties turned into 13 more properties in the next year. And by 2005, we had 36 single-family homes, duplexes, fourplexes, and condos, all throughout Alberta. Grand Prairie, Edson, most of them were in Edmonton area. But yeah, we had quite the handful of properties. Now, the market ended up going up and up and up. It was just absolutely skyrocketing. And we had these 36 properties. And what ended up happening to us is we ended up becoming what's called equity rich and cash poor. So all the properties went up in value. We had like seriously $2 million worth of equity, but we were cash poor because with rentals, every now and then, more often than not, unfortunately, a roof needs to get replaced, or a furnace needs to get replaced, or a hot water tank, or you got to renovate because the tenant didn't treat it great. The economy was rocking and rolling, but still tenants can sometimes be tenants, and we didn't necessarily always have the best tenants. I talked to a mortgage broker at another seminar who, I said, I told her how many properties we had, and I told her we had all this equity, but sometimes cash flow is kind of tough, and she's like, oh my gosh, you should refinance them. Her eyes like bugged out of her head, and I said, okay. And she was clearly not an experienced mortgage broker because she got all my information and everything. But the bank said, no way. The banks wouldn't look at us they wouldn't look at me. They wouldn't look at my husband because we had too much debt. And so, it was kind of a frustrating place to be in. So what I ended up doing was a first strategy that I'm going to talk to you about pulling equity out of properties. I had 2 properties. One was a condo in Southside Edmonton. The other one was a house in northeast Edmonton in the Clairview area. There was $45,000 worth of equity between these 2 properties. They were both rented, and I had owned them both for 2 years. So what I did is I came up with the numbers for a deal partner, for somebody just to buy in to basically 50% of the value of the properties. So that's what I did. I went out, I networked like crazy, I talked to people, and use my sales skills that I've talked about on some other webinars, especially the $35 million webinar. So if you don't have access to that, make sure and join my list and get it. Anyway, I put a $37,000 partner on both of these properties and made him a 50-50 partner. Created a joint venture agreement, put the joint venture agreement on title, and I walked out of this dentist's office with a check for $37,000. Now, we had been cash poor for quite some time, and you can just imagine me, walking down the street, walking down Jasper Avenue in downtown Edmonton in my blue dress, and my hair was all curly, and I was on absolutely top of the world because I had a check in my hand for $37,000. I didn't have to, I sold, I guess you could say, part of my property, but they were still my properties. I was still managing them. The whole deal behind the deal was that we were going to hold on to these two properties for the next 5 years, and then we were going to sell them. Whatever we ended up selling them for, we were going to split all the profit. And it was absolutely magical. I couldn't believe I had a check in my hand for $37,000. You have to keep in mind that not long before that, I was working as a physical therapist, had gone to university for 10 years, $100,000 in school loans to become a physical therapist, fell in love with my daughter, and I don't want to be a physical therapist anymore. And I've got a check for $37,000. When I was a physical therapist, I made $48,000 a year before taxes. I was commuting 2 hours a day, driving, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, and the secretary hated me. It was like torture. It was absolute torture. Now, I made $48,000 a year. After taxes, that equals about $37,000. So I was holding in my hand 1 year's worth of all that time. And I just, I couldn't believe it. I didn't have to go to university. I did take a real estate course. I did take a sales course, both of which amounted to $5,000 with no requirements, no prerequisites, no educational requirements. It was just amazing. You just need the money for the courses, and of course, you got to take action. You actually do have to take action. And since then, my world has changed. That check it absolutely made a world of difference. So that's one way. If you have a property, not all of you do have properties, but if you know somebody who has property and they're interested in getting into real estate and they can't necessarily refinance because maybe they don't have good enough credit or whatever reason, you can actually access equity in a property by creating what's called a joint venture partnership, a win-win situation. This dentist who worked with me invested $37,000. He made a 100% return on his investment in 2 years. Supposed to be 5 years. I called him after 2. I said, hey, let's sell. He's like, okay, let's sell. Absolutely. That's 50% return on investment per year. Absolutely nuts, the power of real estate, especially in a booming market like Alberta. Not all markets are like that. I get it. I know that. But, oh man, the power of real estate it's substantial, obviously. Now, I quickly found out, because I had these 36 properties, right, that there were a few handfuls of people who actually had cash. I did the same thing with another couple. They actually gave me a check for $100,000 to invest on a fourplex because that's how much it had gone up in value. And then they made like a 70% return on their investment in like 18 months. But here's the thing. I was networking with a lot of people, and a lot of people had full-time jobs. And they didn't necessarily have a lot of cash. And they definitely didn't have any time to invest in real estate. And I found like a lot of people that had full-time jobs, like teachers and dentists and doctors and engineers and even, just ticketed carpenters and mechanics and pipe fitters. A lot of them had retirement savings accounts as part of their job. So this brings me to strategy number 2. It's called Investing in Real Estate with Retirement Investment Accounts. Now, this is a very big topic. I've got a guy named John Simcoe that I had on one of my webinars not all that long ago. In fact, I'll put it on the site, you know, where the sales page is and everything. You guys can have access to it. He usually does a 3-hour lecture on RRSPs, retirement savings, and investing in real estate. He had to cut his presentation down to 40 minutes, and that was really tough for him. And I don't even have that much time. So I'm just going to touch on it. And, you know, if you have questions we will absolutely field questions today. And we will do the best that we can to answer your questions as fast as possible. So retirement savings accounts. RRSP stands for Registered Retirement Savings Account. LIRA, L-I-R-A, stands for Locked In Retirement Savings Account. And by the way, your financial advisor, if you have a LIRA, may indicate that since it stands for locked in, your financial advisor might think that it's not eligible for real estate, but I find asking third and fourth opinions helps, and LIRAs usually are actually eligible for this type of investment. TFSA stands for Tax-Free Savings Account. So in Canada, you can contribute a certain amount to your RRSPs and your TFSA every year, and sometimes you can accumulate certain credits every year, but the purpose of it is to offset taxes, and it's an incentive for Canadians to save money. It's probably a very big reason why, you know, Canada has weathered in this crazy economic climate since before the recession of 2008, because they have all these incentives in place, and maybe they have the same incentives in the United States. And I'm just going to touch on the United States because I'm not 100% familiar with it, but this is what I understand. IRA stands for Independent Retirement Account, and that's what most of our American friends have. So all these accounts, and in most cases, at least in most cases, can be transferred into mortgages on property. In other words, your retirement account or your friend's retirement account or your dad's or your uncle's or some literally stranger that you meet at a networking meeting who's interested in investing in real estate, the retirement account can become like a bank. It can literally become a mortgage. The first thing that has to happen is the retirement account has to be transferred into a self-directed account. And in Canada, we use companies like such as Canada Western Trust and Olympia Trust. And I know there are other companies out there. So feel free to type into the chat, or Bill, if you want to pipe in. I'm sure you're taking notes. But those are the main companies that I am most familiar with. And I've actually only used Canada Western Trust. The key here is that the retirement account stays a retirement account. Many people think that they can't touch their RRSPs because they've been told by their accountants, and it's true, if you withdraw your money from your RRSP, it means you get taxed on that money as income. But this is not the case in a self-directed retirement account. It stays a retirement account. It's just self-directed, rather than directed usually by a financial advisor who puts your money in mutual funds and prays, you know, basically that your retirement money does well. There are a lot of really excellent mutual fund advisors, absolutely. A lot of wonderful financial advisors. I'm not downplaying them and their credibility, but I love real estate. You all know why I like real estate. And it's because it's a tangible, physical asset that you can walk up to and touch and move into if you like. You know, it's a tangible asset. So self-directed means you decide what to do with your retirement money and how it gets invested. You may decide to invest it on your own in the stock market. There is capability for that. But for today's purposes, we're talking about real estate, right? A person would decide to self-direct their retirement account in order to be a mortgage on property. Usually a second or third mortgage, but in some cases, even a first mortgage. All right, so, okay, this is making me crazy. I gotta pause this real quick. Bill, could you pipe in and impart some of your amazing wisdom, please?
Let me just unmute myself a couple times.
Still, I didn't do my transitions. It's making me crazy.
Oh no, are you going to be okay?
I don't know.
So personally, I've used both Canada Western Trust and Olympia Trust for RSP second mortgages, and it's worked out quite well. There's some really cool stuff you can do with that, especially if you're looking for cash flow and somebody else is looking for a long-term return. One of my partners on a property, I'm paying them, I think it's about 12% interest, but it's only 2% per year, or 2.5% per year, and the rest is ballooned at the end of a 5-year term. So it's not affecting my cash flow very much. I get a huge amount of cash flow out of it, and I just have to wait out on the back end, which the cash flow and the mortgage pay down are more than compensating for, and a little bit of appreciation is helping me out as well. So it's just a matter of a long-term plan, holding on to the property. And there are multiple different options depending on where you are, whether it's in Canada or in the US. You do have access to a lot of the IRA funds and various things depending on how they're structured. They can get into self-managed funds, and that's where something like Olympia Trust or Canada Western Trust can come into play.
Yeah. And wouldn't you agree that it's hard to talk about this with even an hour, right?
Well, I mean, there's lots of stuff to go over. If we talk about just about anything, there's so many different ways to skin a cat. Mm-hmm. And, you know, whether you set it up with a lower interest rate overall, or whether you set it up with these balloon payments, which I just referenced, or whether you do a straight, I've done a lot of flips in my time as well. And what we've done with people is had them access their line of credits, and we would pay out 8-9% interest on a line of credit to somebody. So they're paying 2 or 3% interest on their line of credit, and they're making 6% on the back end. And then they've also got a tax deduction because it's money being paid on interest on an investment. So again, just a million different ways you can structure these various different ways of getting money to do these things, which is taking me a little bit off topic for you, but at least I can babble for a while. Well,
it's what's great about it is you can, there's just so many different ways to get started in real estate or to expand your real estate. And as much as I want to provide really good content here, I hope that you're at least getting some nuggets on, thinking outside the box, because there is, like Bill said, and no offense to all the cat people out there, there are so many ways to skin a cat.
I'm a cat person too, so.
Yeah, okay, great. I'm allergic, but hey, that's okay. So your retirement savings account, somebody else's retirement savings account can become a mortgage. So let's say the retirement account has $50,000 in it, all right? It has been transferred into a self-directed account, and now the owner of the account wants to make it a mortgage on a property, maybe with you. Well, all that has to be determined is how long the retirement account will be a mortgage on the property. In other words, the term. All right. So how much will be paid into the account would be the rate, which is the cost of borrowing. And in some cases, there's an amortization schedule, and we could discuss interest only, or amortizations, but we're really going to be going down a rabbit hole. Okay. So I don't want to do that. And I shouldn't have started my transitions so early. It got a little messed up today, guys. Oh, transitions are so important to me, as you can see. I'm going to take you through an example now. Let's say got a mortgage of $50,000, and you say to the person, or you're the person. I'll just say we'll just use an example that you're the person that has the RSPs. You've got $50,000 in RSPs. I have a property that can go on in a second position. So behind the first mortgage, and I'm going to borrow this money for 5 years, and I'm going to pay you 8% per year. And I'm going to ask that I make an interest-only payment. So I'm going to pay you $4,000 per year. And Bill mentioned balloon payment. It's just a little higher level. I don't want to get too into that this session, but balloon payments are huge because, again, it will help your cash flow. And balloon means you pay it all at the end. Okay, I'm getting into it already, aren't I? Regardless, This person's retirement savings account is going to make $4,000 per year. That is $20,000 over 5 years. So in other words, on real estate, secured on dirt, bricks, and sticks, not just paper in the mutual fund world, which to me is just the stock market. It's scary. It scares me. I've never had mutual funds, and I never will. The only thing I invest in is myself, my education, and real estate. So this retirement account is going to grow to $70,000 in a very, very secure position. So let's give you a house scenario. Let's say there's a house worth $200,000, and there's a first mortgage on it of $120,000. So there's $80,000 worth of equity on this property. Now keep in mind, the first mortgage, if it is a mortgage, it's going to be paid down over time, maybe quickly, maybe kind of slowly. It just depends on the age of the mortgage. And you guys all have access to my Street Smart Analyzer, at least I hope you do. And that's where you can actually calculate fairly closely. You can predict ahead of time what the balance of a mortgage is going to be over the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. All right, so now we're going to get a mortgage with an RSP or a LIRA or a TFSA or an IRA. And I see that my friend Greg Lassig is here from Tasmania, Australia. Hello, Greg. So I don't know if all of this is foreign to you or not. Doesn't matter. You know, I know Greg and I are going to be talking because he's thinking about coming on board as a one-on-one coaching student. But I know you're going to be getting a lot out of us regardless, because like I said, Greg and I have talked. All right, so you're thinking of getting a second mortgage with an RSP or a LIRA or a TFSA. Again, the house is worth $200,000. The first mortgage is worth $120,000, and you put a second mortgage, let's say that very $50,000 example that we talked about, put a second mortgage of $50,000 on the property. Now, instead of $80,000 of equity in the property, you've got $30,000 of equity. And guess where this $50,000 goes? It can go directly into your bank account. You can use it to buy more property. You can use it to sail around the world. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I'd recommend, you know, that you top up your war chests, that you make good use of the money, because keep in mind, you got to pay it back. But wouldn't that feel great to just be able to access $50,000? And keep in mind, you get to access that equity now, either if it's through a cash investor or an RSP investor. So strategy number one, cash investor on existing properties. And I recommend existing properties with track records if you have them. Strategy number two, retirement savings account, be it RSPs, LIRAs, TFSAs, or IRAs. Again, you're able to access the equity now. You do not have to qualify for financing to just get somebody's cash and secure their cash on title. It's a great way to create a win-win situation, because yes, you can help find a solution for a cash poor situation potentially. You can also offer somebody a really secure and a great rate on somebody's retirement account. I mean, 12%, that's a lot. Double-digit return with dirt, bricks, and sticks, real estate security it's phenomenal. And keep in mind, many people, they want to invest in real estate, but they don't want to sit on a 1-hour webinar on a Monday night. They don't want to take the time to do the work to educate themselves, maybe put some money into your own education so that you can get this done. Remember my $37,000 check? Well, that was because, you know, I took action. I got educated. I learned how to do stuff, and I made a lot of mistakes. So using strategy 1 and 2, it really is. It's the best of both worlds. And it's always worked. It's always worked out really, 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 really well for me. So I hope for you that these two strategies have, you know, open your eyes a bit to the possibilities of accessing equity and property, either because you can't qualify for financing Or you know what? Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you just don't want to qualify for financing. That's okay too. All right, so Bill, can you pipe in, please? Because I know you've got more wisdom yet to share with us.
I don't even know what to add right now, Julie.
That was that good? Oh no, that's like second.
Yeah, you covered a lot of stuff.
Oh, for goodness sakes. All right, well then I'm just gonna go to the next section. I don't see my husband on here, so he may or may not talk, and that's gonna be okay either way. I told you what's going on with him, right? So, all right, let's move on. So, that's not what I wanted to. Okay, yeah, I'll go over this. I love this slide. I'm falling in love with my slides. Been doing webinars, coming out my ears. My favorite things about real estate. Again, I can drive by, see it, smell it, taste it, touch it, move into it if I want to. If the values drop, the mortgage is eventually going to be paid off if it's amortized, okay? Amortization is paying down debt over time. Real estate gives me an extreme amount of freedom of time, and it's extremely efficient. I already told you about the $37,000 check that I used to hustle 50 weeks a year, 40 hours a week, commuting 2 hours a day to a secretary who hated me. And I'm walking down Jasper Avenue with a $37 check. One of the best days of my life. And again, real estate is completely neutral. Real estate doesn't care if you're black or white or transgender, male or female. Real estate doesn't care if you went to high school or if you graduated from university with a doctorate like I did. Doesn't care. I'm going to make the same amount of money as the next guy or the next gal or the next transgender person, whatever. And I had a video on last night of this actress who had to like fight and snivel and grovel and manipulate producers into paying her equally to her male counterpart in this big show called House of Cards. Her name's Robin Wright Penn. And I just think that's ridiculous. I think it's shocking that anybody would ever put up with that. But anyway, and I'm not a feminist. I'm really not a feminist, but I just, geez. So, if you haven't already seen the webinars that we've had some really awesome webinars, including talking about mobile home parks with special guest Anita Berger. She did a fantastic job. It's on the site, and I'll be sharing the link with you. Saturday, we had the amazing Bill Bico, the educated landlord. He talked about how to thrive basically in landlording in a challenging economy, some tips and tricks on communication and making sure you keep good tenants, and all kinds of strategies. Go have a look at it. It's fantastic. Yesterday we talked about condos, what to look for, what to look out for, and again, just lots of gold nuggets there. Now I get to talk about my one-on-one. It's really a 3-on-1 coaching flash sale. All right. So I just want to talk to you about what you get in our 5-day flash sale. You get help from me. You get actually help from Bill. You get help from my husband, Jeff, who actually just arrived. That's fantastic. My husband, Jeff, by the way, he knows as much about real estate as I do. He's primarily been the renovation guy. He's been the home hardware guy. I'm going to talk about him in a little bit, but you're basically going to have access to all three of us. I'm just giving that away right now. I'm letting you know. Help with analyzing deals that are in front of you, looking for potential landmines, helping find joint venture partners. You'll get help with your networking skills, your sales process, because that's how you really grow, is by having joint venture partners, by having investors, but also if you're buying or you're selling in real estate, doesn't matter, you're selling. Because ultimately when you're buying, if you're trying to get a good deal, you got to talk somebody in to seeing things your way. And guess what, everybody? That's sales. And over time, I've taken a lot of sales training, and I've kind of created my own spice of sales training and basically created a system. And systems enable ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. That's a quote from Michael Gerber, who wrote The E-Myth. Going to help you with accountability and taking action steps toward your goals. can absolutely help you with property management. Tomorrow or Wednesday night is the beginning of the Street Smart Educated Landlord for my online real estate investment students. On my online real estate investment students, we're starting a Street Smart Educated Landlord, and I'm telling you, it's thousands and thousands of dollars worth of information. You're going to get access to all of that. I'm going to help you make sure all paperwork is complete. That's huge because something wrong in paperwork can absolutely destroy a deal. So regular price on one-on-one coaching. And this is for my one-on-one coaching students, what they expect after I'm paid is to profit at least $25,000 on a deal. Now that could be after 1 year, that could be after a flip, that could be after 3 years, that could be after 5 years. It varies. But the net profit expected for my coaching student is $25,000 after I'm paid. I usually collect $2,500 up front to get started, and then $5,000 once the deal is complete. And I usually require a 2-deal commitment. So your return on investment for that kind of education, that kind of hands-on access, $7,500 down basically, a return of $25,000, that's a 30% return on investment. Not bad. Nothing to sneeze at, as my grandpa would say. So keep in mind also, I get deals. I have been networking in the real estate world for 14 years. I got wiped out and I fought my way back, and a lot of people know my story. So as a result, I have 3 people phone me today about tricky real estate situations. I have 28 deals on my desk right now. I can't possibly do all of them. And my one-on-one coaching students get first crack. They get first crack at the deals that come in front of me. The ones that I either decide not to do or I can't do. And in some cases, I do joint ventures with my one-on-one coaching clients. Absolutely. Why not? We're going to have weekly group masterminds in addition to, of course, the one-on-one coaching. You're going to have access to all past courses. We have 2 whole full courses. They're almost complete of the Street Smart Buyer course. They're each a little bit different. They each have their own spice. You're going to have free access to all future online real estate investment training, including the Street Smart Seller that's going to be launching in November, worth $750. Street Smart Sales, again, that's the system that I have created. Again, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. It's a lot of information from a lot of other genius men and women, but again, you throw in the Street Smart Diva spice, and it does. It has its own. I have my own style. Street Smart Networking. Networking is there's like almost a science to it, and even in my online real estate investment training, I only skim the surface of the power of networking. And you're going to have access again to all the Street Smart Buyer programs, past and future. You're also going to get free attendance to live events. So if I have a live event happening, you come to it, you're getting a free ticket. You're also going to have access to Bill Biko, the educated landlord. He's been investing in real estate as long as I have. In fact, he and I started around the same time. We actually met back in 2003 at a Ron LeGrand event, and he was a RAIN member and I was a RAIN member of Real Estate Investment Network, and he went his way and I went my way, and Bill has landlorded over 1,200 tenants. He's done rooming houses, he's done flips, he's done creative sales, he's done creative buying. He's probably smarter than me. I'm just going to admit that. But you know what? Really, really smart people, they have smart people on their team. So I guess that does make me smart. Anyway, he's just a genius. And I'm just so grateful that he has agreed to be part of this package. Now, the next guy that I would like to introduce to you is actually my husband. His name is Jeff Hoffman. And he has attended a few of our events, and he's been on some of the webinars. And most of my events have been, webinars. And he's done some presentations on renovations. He has an extensive background in buildings and building supplies, as of course, as well as renovations. And that's because he owned a home hardware building center for 30 years. And he was actually 3rd generation. So his grandpa came in 1910 from Poland in a horse-covered buggy and sold housewares out of the back of his buggy to local farmers in central Alberta. Like, we're talking tough people. Handed it off to Jeff's dad, and Jeff ran it with his dad for 30 years. And the reason why I'm introducing you to Jeff is because I've worked with a lot of clients now, and it's been wonderful. It's just that no matter how many people I talk to about real estate and the benefits, there are still folks who are just plain scared to move forward, because it's typically a multiple hundreds of thousands of dollar purchase or multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars transaction. Well, I'm so grateful to have Jeff. He's talked to me a lot about this. He and I have discussed this. And what he can do is he can help people with the fear factor. Because even though he owned a hardware store for 30 years, it was not his passion. His passion has always been helping people with topics like fear, anxiety, uncertainty, even physical ailments. And he's worked with people all over the world through basically his energy work. So this is Jeff, and I call him the energy guy. I don't know if that's gonna stick or not. It doesn't matter. I call him the energy guy, and everything is energy. Money is energy. Buildings are energy. Tenants bring their own energy. Joint venture partners bring their own energy. Your family, your spouse, your business partners. How we feel, emotion, is literally translated to energy in motion. And again, the most frustrating thing I find with people who know all the tools, they know what to do, they have full access to me, they find a deal and they don't move forward, is primarily because of fear. So my husband, Jeff, is here to talk tonight for about 5 minutes about the work that he does. And there you are. Take it away, Jeff. Oh, yeah. The kids.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. I'm going to apologize right away because I'm not in a quiet place like I have been for the other calls. Because I'm in, of all places, West Edmonton Mall, really wanting out of here, but I'm not out of here yet. So we were at the water park today. We're on a little bit of a holiday without Mom, so I'm just going to do this quick without Julie asking her, but everyone's going to say hi really quick. So this is Rory.
Hi.
Hi, honey.
Hi. Love you.
Aw.
So there's four of them, and one is missing because she's in a special store that is nowhere else on earth but in West Edmonton Mall. So anyway, I'm doing a balancing act today, big one, and I don't know how. I'm actually really questioning my judgment here this minute, but I'll be all right. I'm going to make it through without Julie. It's all right. So, yes, what I want to offer everyone is just some help with fear, and that can come up. And what it does when it does come up is it can really influence our decision-making ability. When we're not in a really grounded, rooted place, fear is a lower vibration energy. Confidence, joy, love, all of that is a very high vibration. So you can imagine if we have emotions or past experiences or things that are causing us to be triggered by events in front of us, then we're going to be not making as good of decisions as we could if we were clear and blockages removed. So that's what I can help with. I'm going to give you a quick story. And it's about a friend of mine that very recently just kind of had a bad month. His job wasn't going as he hoped. He broke his leg biking. He was asked by his landlord to basically evicted for the reason that she was selling the house, so they had to find another place to live in a very tough rental market in Kelowna. So this friend of mine, his energy was not in the love, appreciation, confident spectrum. It was in the fearful, doubting, and really heavy energy that we've all been in. And he was operating in that for a few days. And I just reached out to him and said, why don't you let me do my thing for a half hour here and let's see what we can do with this. And I'm happy to say that 5 minutes, that 20 minutes, half hour later, he wasn't a 2 out of 10 anymore with his energy. He was an 8 out of 10. And the funny thing about his situation is some of that energy that we removed was not even his own. It was his dad's from experiences of when my friend was very young, like 9 years old. His dad went through some stuff, and he kind of latched onto his dad's energy and was kind of carrying his dad's energy around. So that can even happen, right? And then he was being triggered by the events that were in front of him. So the good thing about all that is after the call, he was able to get back to making good decisions and from a very good place of balance. And that's one of the things. And he doesn't need to call me every day. Once that was done, that issue's done kind of forever. You know, it's not to say other stuff won't come up, but when you're in your power place, you can do things. If you're not and you're stuck there, I can help and give you the skills so you can carry on without me. So that's it, Julie.
Yeah, I know what you're dealing with. I've been there somewhat. Jeff is always much more courageous than I am when it comes to the kids. I just recently took all 5 of them grocery shopping, like for the first time, and my youngest is 8. Now I can take 1, 2, maybe 3 at a time, but that's pushing it. My husband's always loaded them all up and taking them off on adventures, and that's part of the reason why I like him so much. And very, very lucky to have the lifestyle that we do. So thanks, Jeff. I also wanted to add that, you know, if any of you are struggling with just this decision to move forward with the one-on-one coaching, if you want to reach out to Jeff, feel free to do so. He does come with a package. In fact, we've got it all worked out. You get 3 free sessions. You get 3 group sessions that he's going to lead for people, because masterminding, again, just really, it's really a good thing. And I put into the chat Jeff's email address. I've also put Bill's Educated Landlord link. I've also put Bill's email address in case you wanted to talk to him. You know, talk this through. It's fine. You guys have access to me. You should be getting the emails. If you want to talk to me about whether or not to move forward, just reach out and let's talk. But you do. You have access to all 3 of us. But if you're scared about moving forward with just the one-on-one coaching, dude, reach out to Jeff, and he won't charge you. He'll have a session for you with you and dig, and he'll come from a place of not motivated to sell something. Probably he'll come from a place of purity. So I just want to, Jeff allowed me to offer that. So please take advantage of that if it speaks to you. Just a quick testimonial. Jeff is an amazing healer with a caring heart that can help people transform a negative emotional condition into a state of peace. I highly recommend Jeff and his new techniques of transformational healing. And I've just, I've watched him in action. It's pretty cool to be married to a guy like this. And this is from Deb Peterson from Spokane, Washington. So flash sale, 5-day flash sale pricing for you. $1,250 up front. That's a 50% savings. And you have a payment plan available to you as well. It's 2 equal monthly installments of $650 Canadian. So for my American friends, that's a 30% savings on top of the 50% savings. At the balance of the coaching fee, when we find a deal for you, instead of $5,000, it's $3,750. That's a 25% savings. And I will show you through joint ventures, if that's the route that you decide to take, how to get my entire coaching fee back. You're basically saving about $2,500 by moving forward with this flash sale special. So again, results expected after one deal. Again, it could be 6 months, it could be a month, it could be 5 years, $25,000. My fee up front, $1,250 plus $3,750 on the end, and only a 1-deal commitment. I usually require a 2-deal commitment, which is also a substantial savings. If you want me for another deal, great. I will offer you the same exact pricing, the same reduced pricing, but I'll only require you to commit to 1 versus 2. So your return on investment for $5,000 investment and a $25,000 return is a $500 return on your investment. They're just astronomical numbers, but it's only for a limited time. I have the bids closing on Tuesday, but I have some news about that. Bill, I didn't give you any warning about this. So I hope you're sitting down. Again, yeah, you get access to all this. My 14 years and Bill's, 14 years. One-on-one coaching, get first pick of deals that come before us. Group masterminding, one-on-one coaching. All of this value of past courses, future courses, live courses, networking, sales, Street Smart Seller. That's $4,000 worth of bonuses, plus the profit that's going to be happening on your deal. So just some success stories. I had Rose recently. She had $22,000 worth of profit. Tyler just bought a property, $10,000 down. He's going to make about $35,000 by the end of the term. Lynette didn't put any money down. She'll probably make at least $40,000 on the house that she bought. Dale is a client of mine. 2 deals. He's made he'll be making $70,000. We've got one of them closing this year. We got another one closing next year. Samantha just started on board as a one-on-one coaching client and already has an offer on a property. She's probably going to make at least $30,000. It could be more. Rick and Sue were a couple that I worked with not all that long ago who needed help selling their house. And so I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So these are just some helpful links for you to have access to. Shoot, Bill, I'm sorry. I put the wrong email address up there for you. But if you're getting my emails, then you have access to me, and everything else is in the chat. But if you want to come back and watch this recording and fast forward to all these links, if you just can't remember for whatever reason, that's fine. They're right here for you. So I decided to extend the flash sale. Now, here's the thing. I've primarily been talking about people who are trying to get into the real estate market. But the thing is, I also work with people who are trying to get out, who need solutions to property issues. And I just realized today that I haven't even talked about how to sell a house creatively. So Rick and Sue, as I mentioned earlier, were the reason that I started coaching. They called me and they were in a challenging situation. And the more I talked to them, the more I realized that I didn't want their deal. It was in Saskatchewan, but I knew that I could help them. So what I did is I just threw this out there. I suggested that they hire me to coach them through selling their house creatively, and they did. And a coaching practice basically was born. So how about that, hey? Nothing to say any of you folks couldn't do the same thing, by the way. Anyway, they were able to go from losing $10,000 after hiring a realtor to sell their house because they had bought a little high. Through my coaching, through working together, they're able to they're going to come out ahead $22,000. And that's after they've paid me. So that is like so cool. I just think that is the coolest thing. And I realized that, I need to have another webinar for the people who need help selling their houses. So I'm going to be putting this out on Facebook. I'm going to have a webinar on Thursday. And this is for people either because they don't have enough equity to pay a realtor or because maybe they're interested in seeing if they can make a bit more money. And let me tell you, selling creatively can help you it can just help you make more money. So, why not? Why not make more money if you can, right? And of course, great win-wins and all that kind of good stuff. So, since we have our weekly Street Smart Buyer course on Wednesday, and actually it's the start of the Street Smart Educated Landlord series, which is 2 weeks of amazing information on landlording, a skill that every investor needs. Anyway, Wednesday's booked. So I got a webinar tomorrow night, and that's going to be fantastic on what to look out for in real estate. But I am actually going to host my last webinar now on Thursday at 7 p.m. PST, just like tonight's, and it's going to be on how to sell your house creatively. I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 ways to do that, and it's going to be really a lot of fun. Really a lot of fun. I have so much fun on these webinars. And then the sale will end. It will end at midnight on Thursday. So just letting you guys know, if you need a couple more days to discuss with whoever, you can. If you need more couple days to think, if you want to discuss with one of us, hey, we're here. But yeah, it's going to go till Thursday, August 25th now, all right? So basically, you're getting 3-on-1 coaching with this flash sale. You get access to me. You get access to Bill. You get access to Jeff. Each of us have different personality styles. Each of you are going to be drawn to, one or all 3 of us, but it's kind of nice to have a variety of people to choose from. And when it comes to supply and demand, I'm telling you that my coaching practice has tripled since this time last year. And I anticipate it to do far more than that by a year from now. And you will not likely see this kind of pricing again. So I encourage you to take advantage of it. That's the sales pitch, you guys. That was it. Always a lot of fun to do it. I'm going to put the link in the chat for you guys to take advantage of the one-on-one coaching right away. Don't have to wait. You can just make a decision right away and get started right away. That's okay too. I've already had 2 sessions with somebody who started, Sue, and yeah, I've already shown her a deal in Calgary. So let's get moving. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking an hour out of your Monday night. I know it's probably been Mondays can be tough. You know, I know that, and I really do appreciate you being here. Bill, do you have anything to add before I let everybody go?
Just have to unmute myself again. Okay.
No problem.
So it's just a unique opportunity to have access to a lot of education and a lot of information from various individuals. So if it's something that appeals to you at this point and you're looking to get into the real estate market or get further into it, this could be quite an opportunity. So that's what I got to close with.
Sounds good. Sounds really good. I haven't seen anybody type into the chat any questions about, the lecture, the topic. And wow, this meeting will have been under an hour. Wow. Ray, good to see you here. You're welcome. Doug Engel. Doug Engel is my neighbor here in Kelowna. He and I we're gonna get something cooking, Doug. So you better watch out. Cameron, thanks for being here. Amelia, it is good to see you again. I hope you decide to join us with the coaching. Greg, I don't know what time it is in Tasmania, but I just think it's so cool that you're calling in from Tasmania. Do you want to say hi quick? I gotta unmute you. Hi, Greg.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
It's midday. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon here.
Okay.
So it worked in my lunch break, so it just worked out today. So that was really good.
Right on. And you're building houses. You building a house today?
Got a couple of jobs I'm starting at the moment.
Right on.
Just organising a couple of jobs.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to say hi.
Hi.
I'm gonna mute you now.
Thank you. Yeah.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, Greg. Yeah, so, okay. Uh-oh. Yeah, uh-oh. Doug said uh-oh. I've got Doug's phone number. He just sent me a friend request on Facebook, too. I cannot believe how many balls I am juggling right now. Crazy night. So much fun. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and we will see you tomorrow night. Again, talking about, what are we talking about? Oh, just things to look for, things to look out for. It's a really fun lecture. And then we'll see you Thursday. So that's going to be a lot of fun too. I look forward to seeing y'all there. Take care, and we will see you next time.